Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
Hey there, let me tell you about the craziest thing that happened to me and my buddies a while back. It all went down in our small town where life was simple and our favorite hangout spot was this old bridge over the river. Me and my pals loved walking home together, and sometimes, for some extra fun, they would jump off that bridge into the river. Now here is a twist. I can't swim. So while they were making a splash, I played the cheerleader, soaking in a joy from the sidelines. One day as we were heading to our beloved bridge, destiny took a turn. Enter Karen. Yep, that's what we decided to call her for obvious reasons. This lady, let me tell you, was a hurricane of anger. She came charging at us like a bull in a china shop, yelling her head off about how us jumping into the river was disgusting and noisy. "You kids shouldn't be doing this disgusting behavior. I can't take it anymore," she screeched, veins popping on her forehead. Now we were a chill bunch. We didn't want any trouble, so that day we skipped the river routine and found other ways to have fun. But that Karen, oh boy, she wasn't done with us. A week later, we decided to give the river another shot. Two of my buddies tripped down, ready to make a splash, the others getting pumped up when suddenly, like a wrathful ghost from the past, Karen reappeared. "This is unacceptable. You're making too much noise. I won't stand for it," she hollered with her face turning tomato. I couldn't take it anymore. Maybe it was a heat or just a frustration building up, but I spoke up. "We're just having some fun. It's not like we're here all day. Chill out. Don't be a party pooper." Big mistake. Before I could finish my sentence, Karen turned into a human cannonball and shoved me off that bridge. Now remember, I can't swim. I plunged into the water like a stone, struggling to stay afloat, desperate for air. Panic set in, and I thought, well, that's it. I'm done for. Thankfully, my two buddies in the water pulled me to the river bank, saving me from becoming a soggy tragedy. Meanwhile, the other two friends who witnessed the whole thing lost their minds on Karen. One of them charged at her, tackling her to the ground, while the other sprinted to find someone to call for help. Cops and an ambulance arrived, turning our little hangout into a full-blown crime scene. Karen started spewing nonsense about how we were the troublemakers, ignoring her saintly warnings, and the EMTs checked us over, making sure we weren't hurt, just shaken up. It was like a circus, with Karen ranting about her divine duty to protect the peace, and us, the innocent victims of a bridge-shoving lunatic. The police gathered our statements, and it was surreal hearing Karen's twisted version of events. She accused us of defying her warnings and driving her to the brink. But you know what? Surprisingly, the authorities didn't buy into Karen's delusional narrative. Maybe it was the bruises on my face or the fact that her story was shaky as hell. She was handcuffed, with all the shock in the world written all over her face. The ambulance crew made sure we were okay, and with a few scraped knees and bruised egos, we were deemed fit to go home. The cops called my parents and they rushed to the scene. Panic itched across their faces. I could see the concern in their eyes as they hugged me tight. "Press charges. This woman needs to pay for what she did." My dad insisted. The legal wheel started turning, and Karen found herself facing charges of attempted murder, among other serious offenses. A 10-year sentence awaited her in prison, a consequence of her reckless actions. It turns out that justice system isn't a fan of entitled bridge shovers. I can't say it was a surreal experience watching Karen get escorted into the police car. Her entitlement now replaced with a dose of reality. The town buzzed with gossip about the crazy lady who thought she could play judge, jury, and executioner on our innocent bridge adventures. The court proceedings were a wild ride. Karen's defense tried to paint her as a misunderstood hero, fighting against the tyranny of children having fun, but it didn't work. The evidence was clear, and the witnesses spoke the truth, and the judge saw through the entitled facade. The gavel came down, delivering the verdict. Karen, who would spend the next decade reflecting on her bridge, shoving escapade behind bars. Life in our little town returned to normal, the bridge becoming a symbol of triumph over entitlement, and we continued our walks home. The river still flowing peacefully beneath. And our bridge antics resumed without fear of a Karen-induced splash crisis. Looking back, it's a crazy story to tell. A bizarre chapter in the book of my teenage years. Who would have thought a simple walk home with friends would turn into a showdown with a bridge-banning Karen? I work in a few places currently, including a cafe, and I also volunteer in some charity shops. So I deal with a lot of entitled people almost daily due to my workaholic lifestyle, where I constantly want to be doing something. Some small things that are annoying but happen quite often are in charity shops where people try to use blue light cards when we don't accept them. I get it, you do a good job that helps people but often doesn't pay well. However, everything we sell is extremely cheap. We had a lady trying to buy Dr. Martens, which we were selling for $6.99, and she tried to use a blue light card. I explained to her that we don't accept blue light cards here. Usually, the woman would lit up that loud sign to make it clear if she's annoyed with you, or make a comment about how ridiculous that is. But no, she instead said, along the lines, "You do accept it. Every shop does," which is not true. Not every shop accepts it, which I did calmly explain to her. After around 5 minutes of going back and forth, she finally stopped arguing and paid for the shoes. Another small thing that is annoying, it does not happen that often, but often enough that I can say confidently it happens at least twice a week, is when a person, usually a man, comes into the cafe I work at and orders multiple things from the menu and complains when it takes too long. I'm sorry, but ordering a stack of 5 pancakes, 2 chicken wraps, 2 large cokes, several waffles, hash browns, sausages, baked beans on toast, and black pudding does not take 2 minutes. These are annoying, and I could name even more that annoy me, but I can deal with those easily and they don't bother me too long. Usually, once the person leaves the cafe or shop, I practically calm down instantly. What happened today? That is what made me want to quit working completely. I didn't though. It starts off as a normal day, actually better than a normal day, as we had a calm day with not so many people. Just small families and teenagers, so we don't have to deal with messy tables or little children running around or yelling. But a large family came in, a total of 8 children. I would say the youngest was around 4 and the oldest was around 7. Clearly they weren't all their children. Perhaps a small party, though I doubt it. They asked for a table for 20, there were only 9 of them, so it was a little confusing. I explained that we don't have tables big enough for a table of 20, but we have a table that can fit 15. They want that one instead. That table usually is booked but wasn't today, and I wish it was, as they might have gone to another cafe and bothered someone else. It was lucky for them, but not for me, the other waitress, and our chef. It took around 15 minutes to get all the kids to the table. The parents were not helping. Usually if kids are running around, we do not do anything, but these kids were climbing everywhere. Some of these 6-year-olds almost made it into the kitchen if it wasn't for the entitled mother yelling at them that they can't go in the kitchen, as they might end up poking an eye out. Bear in mind, we don't have anything around the 6-year-old eye level that will poke an eye out, but we do have a lot of boiling water, knives, and extremely hot stoves. So the whole kitchen is quite dangerous, in my opinion, for a bunch of 6-year-olds. But that's all the parents did to try and control these kids. When I asked, "Do you mind calling your children to the table as they are causing a disturbance in the cafe?" the response was, "There isn't anyone else here. They are fine. If you have such an issue with it, you go get them back to the table." I generally was shocked at this. My co-worker, who we can call Jess, was on her break, but she was kind enough to end her break early and to help me get all these kids to the table. I am so thankful for that, as well as I'm not good with kids. I only managed to get 2 of the kids back to the table, and she managed to get the rest back with ease. And once we got the last kid back, who had dirt on their face as he was digging out the plants, these entitled parents had the audacity to say to us, "Took you long enough?" We do have a strict boss who wasn't in yet, so we didn't want to kick them out before our boss could actually see what was happening. He would be on the customer's side before even checking the security footage and checking with us to see what actually happened. So we just tried our best to bottle up how we were feeling and hoping our boss, we can call him Ross, not his real name, same as Jess is not the real name of my coworker, would come back in time to actually deal with him. According to Jess, as she worked here longer than me, she said that we only had one person kicked out and banned from the cafe, and they weren't as bad as these people. So that got my hopes up that I will never have to deal with these people again. Now let's skip a few minutes to when the entitled dad whistled me over like a dog. I did make a comment at this saying, "Please don't whistle at me to get my attention. You can call my name, Thea." He scoffed at this and then proceeded to say their order. It was a large order but expected for a large group and wasn't as bad as I expected. I thought it would be more as they were being so rude, but I tried thinking positively that perhaps they had a bad day and they are just overwhelmed with all these kids. Now this order had a lot, so Jess helped out the chef, who we can call Eric. Jess isn't the best cook, but she only did the easy things like boiling the eggs for him or making the toast, while he made the pancakes and waffles. During this time I tried sitting at one of the booths, not close to them but I could see their whole table, and I did keep a close eye on them. I thought this was a smart idea and it would have been if they didn't eat something every 5 seconds. How long will it take? Are you willing to be sitting down during your work? We want a new cup. These are too small. There isn't enough ice in my water. We want new cutlery. These are dirty. I can confirm they were not dirty and they didn't even notice that I just gave them the same cutlery back to them as I knew they were clean. And before you can say that they might have dropped it or something, I had my eye on them the whole time to make sure they didn't cause any chaos. And the cutlery they wanted to change, only the entitled parents' cutlery were the only ones left untouched. Does a pancake have eggs in it? They asked out of curiosity, not even for allergies or dietary reasons. Do you have a spare hairband? Mine broke. Oh wait, I got one in the bag. Never mind. And this was annoying. I mean, I felt as if they knew what they were doing. Once I sat down, every time they would call me over, "Ahem, Thea." And that annoying teacher's voice made me want to rip my ears off. But I kept calm, answered all their questions with a smile on my face. Now, here in the UK, we don't get tipped as nicely as Americans. Quite often, I don't even get tipped. So I did this expecting perhaps a small tip for dealing with them. It took around half an hour to get all their food. We wanted to make sure it all comes out at the same time. And it was all warm. But the eggs and toast for the parents were finished quicker than expected, so they came out 5 minutes earlier than the rest of the food. This is where the chaos everyone loves happens. Where is the rest of the food? The mom asks. Oh, they are about to be right out. How long? Exact time. We aren't mind readers. And she gives me that dirty smile that makes you feel so angry, as you can tell that they aren't being nice at all. Haha, it should just be 5 minutes. I try laughing it off, as usually it works with the rude people I serve. Why is it taking so long? The dad asks. We have been here for hours, and you want us to wait even longer? The tickets say the time that they were printed. I know you have been waiting for around 30 minutes, but that is expected to make 4 deluxe 5-staked pancakes and 3 deluxe waffles. And you did request for all the food to come up at the same time. We did try to time it, but your 2 meals just finished quicker than we expected, so we didn't want it to get cold. I didn't expect them to interrupt me, but they actually let me say all of this, so I thought they might have understood that we were doing our job best as possible and didn't want to serve them cold food. You're a chef and you don't know how long it takes to boil an egg? Pathetic. Me, now a little annoyed but still trying to be nice. I'm not the chef and he just made one small mistake. We are so sorry about that. I'm not sorry at all, by the way. You seem very sorry with that attitude. The dad says, I'm sorry if I gave an attitude, I just had a long day. I have not had a long day, but I need to stay calm as I know my boss will be back soon, and if I were to yell at them like I wanted to, I just know he would walk in and fire me on the spot. The mom says, we also had a hard time, but you don't see us being bitchy. Then the dad adds, just get the pancakes out now. Alright, I will go see if they are done now. I leave, I can hear them snicker and talking about me being incompetent and unable to do simple tasks. But I started to feel as if luck was on my side. Once I get into the kitchen, I see Ross entering from the back at the same time as me. I explain everything as quickly as possible. Pancakes were almost done. They were just plating it all up. He was very understanding and told me to stay at the counter at the front and serve any new customers, and he will serve the family. So this is everything I heard and saw. He serves a family, I can see them complain and heard them talk even more crap about me, saying how she's so bad they replaced her already. Now I could see Ross getting annoyed, but he was doing his job. He didn't put on his manager badge and instead had another coworker's badge on. So I realized he was pretending to be a normal employee so they wouldn't start acting differently as he owns the cafe. When the food all gets there, the kids were extremely messy, even wiping their dirty hands from all the ice cream and chocolate sauce on the chairs. Now these chairs had fabric on them and can be easy to stain if left dirty. I saw the parents laughing at this and not telling them off, not even saying anything to the kids. Then I saw the kids starting to get up and run around again. Now Ross already knows how bad they were when they first were running around, and now they are covered in food, so you can assume it's worse. Before I go to stop them, Ross tells me, that's my table now, I'll deal with it. So he goes over to the parents and tell your children to sit down, they are making a mess. And he got the same responses they gave me. But this is when he says, I'll get your bell. I heard some arguing, apparently they didn't want to pay it or leave. So he explains how they are being kicked out as their behavior is making the cafe a mess and making people not wanting to come into the cafe. Now this felt like something out of one of these Reddit stories when they said, you can't kick us out, you're not the manager. And I saw his smirk. I'm the manager and you're being kicked out. And if you don't leave, you will be banned from ever eating here again. Me and Jess loved this. If we had popcorn, it would have been perfect. They refused to leave for a few minutes but did pay. And when they were leaving, he yelled out, you're banned forever. Never come back here, you crappy people. And this father turned around so quickly and yelled, we have children, don't swear in front of them. And this is where I cut in and say, you were swearing in front of them earlier. Now Ross did tell me off for this comment, but not in front of them, as he didn't want to make them feel as if they were in the right, as they weren't. But they did argue with Ross for a bit, and this I will just summarize it for you. They didn't want to leave, wanted the refund for bad service, Ross saying they paid for the food and did not tip. And since they ate all the food, they won't get a refund. This repeats until he threatens to call the police, so they leave. Now, he didn't check the security footage, but he said judging from their behavior, he knew what we said was the truth, which was nice to hear. This is my first proper Reddit post, so I hope it was good. If you want to hear more of these sorts of stories, I have plenty, some worse, but this happened recently and I only just got Reddit, so it just felt right to vent about it.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.